I'm Pam Hayes from Hayes Sewing Machine Company, and today we're going to talk about a panel that we got in, and isn't that gorgeous? I love poppies and I love dragonflies, so haha, both. All right. And we're going to make it into a quilt by doing this particular pattern. It's called Expanding Corners. And if I do it right, it should be finished 59 by 60, so roughly 60 by 60. And I have started to do some of the work for you. And if you take a look, we have cut the center panel, and she'll give you all the dimensions in the pattern, so you don't have to worry about that. She has you add a green border, and then she has you, in case you didn't cut properly, she'll tell you how big that section should be.
So in other words, you trim the panel, you put the borders on, and then you trim the panel, that border panel.
That border panel
to
again.
fit. Yeah, great.
She'll give you all the numbers on there for the width and the height, so you're good to go. Now, what's going to happen, you'll notice that there are beautiful little corners. Well, guess what? We're going to use those to be on our borders. So if you take a look, again, in the pattern, it will show you the corners. So basically, what we need to do is we, again, cut out the dimension that they tell you. And then we're going to have 4 of these. Okay? We've already done 3, so this is how you're going to do the 4th. She wants you to add the side, the left and the right side. That's what she calls it in the pattern, the left and the right side. We're going to sew those together first. And so make sure you're working with your 1/4 inch seam. And we're going to line it up. So we're doing, the only thing that you really need to make sure that you do on this one is when you start to sew, make sure the block is up, you know, for the left and the right.
So that you're
so you're not
putting them on the top and the bottom instead. Okay, all right, that works.
You know, that's kind of, I found that out pretty quick.
Ask me how I know.
Ask me how I know. All right, so again, you're doing the rectangles that we're adding. It'll do it, you do it on the left and the right. And again, she'll give you all the dimensions in there. So that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be really, really pretty. I'm going to give it a press. I'm pressing towards the pieces that we added, so away
the rectangles,
away from the pretty, away from the picture. All right, and then we're going to add this up at the top.
Not a problem. Can you slide the block a little closer to your machine?
There you go. Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how now we're going to add top and bottom. Okay. So when we're going to add that, right sides together.
I like that little black and beige stripe
I
border.
know, isn't
It
it?
really makes that pop.
Yep. And you can tell your non-sewing friends really worked hard.
Yeah. It's really hard to do that skinny border.
Yeah, really hard to do that one.
We won't mention that it comes printed on the panel.
Yep. They don't need to know that. All right, and we're going to add it to our next one. So again, we've added side to side, so left and right. And then now we're adding top and bottom. And we're going to give it a good press. All right. So now, let's have a little thread. Now we need to cut these, and I'm just looking again to see the size. There it is. All right, so we're going to so what I do is I line it up. I'm sure this is not the technical way of doing it, but it works for me. So when I line up my piece, I find out what number that is.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, I'm going to basically be trimming about 1/2 of an inch off all the way around. So she allows for a little, whoops, that wasn't quite right.
Mm-hmm. And stretching of the fabric when you press
stretching
it.
of the fabric when you
I like
press
patterns that are like that, where you're kind of correcting all the way along so that there's no major correction at the end.
Yep. And just going to make sure. All right, so side to side I've done, and now we're going to do and there we go.
Awesome.
And these would
So
also
cute.
I know, it would be really cute. And they would also be really cute as like a pocket on a tote bag.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'll
And
look
even
them up.
bordered out as a pillow.
Even bordered out as a pillow. All right. So, what they had us do in this section, again, she'll give you all the measurements. Is that better?
Yeah, it's fine.
You're going to add your dragonflies with the red.
Got it.
She'll tell you how long to make each one. And then that's where you put the block that we have just done. Right
Beautiful.
there. So we take,
So we sewed the 3 strips together, cut it to length,
yep,
and now we're adding the corner squares on.
you got it. And as with all things, if you have one that's a little bigger, you
What?
always put it to the bottom.
Because we always want to sew with a big bottom.
See, so with the big bottom. So just do it naturally.
I was going to say, some of us don't have to try.
No, don't have to try. All right, so we're sewing along.
And just for clarification, we are putting the side of the block to the end of that strip, right? So
Yes.
essentially we're doing the top and the bottom border?
Yes, we're
Okay.
doing the top and the bottom border. Yes.
Okay. All right,
So
great.
when we're working with it, we have it there, and I'm just going to give that a press. Yes, so the blocks that we've just made, and you would have 4 of them,
Mhm.
you're going to put them on the end of what would be at the top and the bottom.
Okay, good enough.
Okay. Now,
And once again, you want to check those blocks, make sure you don't have one upright and one down.
Yes. And I did look at the pattern.
Ask me how I know.
Ask me how I know. I also looked at the pattern pretty well. If you take a look on the pattern, she has them all up.
Okay, facing upwards.
All facing upwards instead of, sometimes you would have one flipping down, but this one, all facing
Well, we
up.
wouldn't want the blood to go to the little dragonfly's head, would we?
That would be awful. All right. So again, remember how we did the center section and they told us a specific length to cut it to. The sides, so in other words, the left and the right side, again, so you want to make sure you're looking at your block. And that's when we are lining that side up.
Got it.
Okay. So we're doing the sides, the left and the right. And it should be pretty lined up. Yep. But it never hurts to check. So we're going to line this up. The borders, the pieced borders that do not have the blocks on them, that's what you're going to add next.
To the sides.
To the sides. To the left and to the right. All right, so we line that up, and now I'm going to take the next one, and again, do it opposite. So I'm working on the other side. And you can throw some pins in here if you want to. I'm just kind of holding it. Okay, now we're going to go and we're going to press, and I'm probably going to press it to the dark.
Okay.
It's to the inside. Don't think it would matter too much.
Want me to start singing the Jeopardy song?
Da-na-na.
Da-na-na.
Yep. Like I said, we need to get a little sign.
Kind of like the old,
Silent films.
yes, or I was thinking like Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner kind of things. Yikes.
She's ironing. All right. At this point, we are now going to add the other section. So the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to put a pin in here. And put a pin in. All right, and I'm just going to double check to make sure that they're both up.
Got it.
Just because.
It's a long seam to pull out.
It's a long seam to pull out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little quilt tack.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Quilt tack. Just to make sure that that is looking good. Right on the money.
And because you pressed it to the darker side, both of them are going, the seam allowances are going opposite, right?
Yep.
So that makes it easier.
So we're going to nestle them together. All right. Looks good. Now remember, if it didn't look good, then what we would do is just have to pull out that little quilt tack.
And if you've never seen doing a quilt tack, we have a YouTube video on it on our YouTube channel.
Alrighty. So we're going to get this lined up. It quickly starts to grow.
That's what I like about bordered quilts. Sometimes you're just like, you're done making blocks. But if the quilt needs to be bigger, slap a couple of borders on there. It'll grow fast enough.
It will. Alright, and we're going to go...
I think borders are kind of making a resurgence. We kind of went away from them for a while with the modern quilt movement. But a lot of the like 3-yard quilts and that kind of thing, they're all bordered. So we're seeing it a lot more now. So we can cheat and grow our quilts quickly.
Yep. Alright, so take a look-see. That's what we have. We built it up. Again, I tried to make sure that both of the blocks were facing up. And we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. So on this one, I'm going to have to think about it for a second. Yes, that should be correct. Again, I would like to pin this and then check. Easier to unpin it than to have to get your seam ripper all the time.
Yep. I saw this sign. I think I'm going to get it for my studio. It says, "If I have a seam ripper in my hand, now is not a good time."
Yes. Leave me alone. All right. So I'm going to take a look. Again, I'm looking this time. The poppy's upside down, but take a look at my big block.
The panel's upside down too.
The panel's upside down as well.
Got it.
So again, we're going to do a little quilt tack.
Generally speaking, when I sewing late at night, that's generally when I know I need to quit for the night, is when I'm pulling more out than I'm putting in.
Yep. It's always a good place.
And yeah, it's
Good
like,
time to stop.
yeah, let's pull the seam out and start again tomorrow. Because quilting should be fun. And sometimes
it
it isn't.
Sometimes I
We
like
need to regroup.
All right, corners look good. So again, I'm going to line this up. Again, just working your way across. This is the advantage of when she tells you, again, to measure and trim it if need be.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to have big variations.
You're not. Makes life a little simpler.
It's also a really good indicator of a good quilt designer when they kind of give you those, the block should measure this amount at this point type of thing. You know that the pattern is going to go together well because they've taken a lot of time to figure that out for us quilters out here.
Us mere mortals.
Yes. Us not quilt designers.
All right. So then at this point,
oh, it's looking so pretty.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to give those a press.
Once again, press into the dark.
Yep.
Got it.
All right, so now, next one. That is going to be a beautiful
Oh,
quilt.
it's gorgeous.
Now, red is going to be the next border.
Is it the same red fabric as the the strip in the middle? Cool.
Strip in the middle, same fabric. So basically, again, she'll give you the dimensions. You're going to do your left and your right sides first. You will have to add, seam your border at this point because, again, we are wider than the 42. So we're going to add the left and the right, and again, they will tell you exactly how long you'll need it. Now, this is also a time where if you think you're a little off, measure the quilt rather than going by the measurements on the pattern.
But you're so good, you wouldn't be off.
Well, I made these red strips longer than I needed, so I figured I'll trim
just in case.
Yes, just in case.
Can't be half an inch short on a video, right?
Nothing's worse than that. So again, you're going to do your left and your right sides when you're looking, at the panel proper, and then your top and your bottom. And now we're going to do the other side. And we'll be right back. All right, I have put the red border on. Now, we have poppy material. Isn't that going to be gorgeous? So it's going to be poppy and the dragonflies on this. So again, we're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to line it up on the left and right, and then do top and bottom. Now there is a considerable length difference because again, this is a fairly wide border. So make sure you put the right border on the correct side. All right, we are back and we now have all of the borders put on. Look at that.
Woohoo! Oh, it's so pretty. I love it.
All right, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.